AfterSchool.com and let's virtually run together on Saturday 17th or Sunday 18th of October for this virtual family fun run. Walk or run, pick your own route, but be safe and make sure you socially distance. Every step is a step forward in helping our youth reach their true potential.
At last, it's back to school time at Office Supply. Kids can win big, parents can save more. You'll save 10, 15, or 20% off your purchase, depending on how much you spend. Get geared up with scientific calculators from $2.95, 11-piece math set with 2-in-1 compass from $3.95, composition book starting at 99 cents, and much, much more. Your safety is very important to us, so pre-order and we'll shop for you. And enter to win our back-to-school drawings, including a chance to win one of 2 laptops or printers. Office Supply, widest selection, lowest prices. Place your order today. Email b2s@officesupply.ky or call 946-1200 today.
Burger King Sawyer, the perfect burger is ready.
Very well. Tell me.
It's a quarter pounder with melted cheese and mayo. You see, the simplicity is what makes...
Add another patty.
Another? But Sawyer, that will make it a half pounder.
Add bacon.
Bacon?
Crispy onions.
Burger King has gone wild and brought back the Steakhouse King. 2 quarter-pound flame grilled beef patties, thick-cut bacon, A1 thick and hearty sauce, crispy onions, melted cheese, and mayo. Only $7.50 or $10.35 for the combo, and only at Burger King for a limited time.
Have you checked out the Island Heritage Insurance website? They have upgraded their online payment options to make it easier for you to get a quote, make a claim, and renew your policy. Log on to islandheritageinsurance.com. Island Heritage Insurance is also here for you this hurricane season with helpful tips from their Hurricane Handbook. Just log on to islandheritageinsurance.com/hurricane.
Live from Star 927 Studios in the center of Cayman's capital city, Georgetown. This is Straight Talk with Ruth Anna.
Good evening, everybody. You are tuned into Straight Talk, brought to you exclusively by Star 92.7 Premium Radio. I am your host, Ruth Anna Young. Today is Monday, which means it is Medical Monday, brought to you by our partners at Health City Cayman Islands. I am joined in studio this afternoon by, physically in the studio and in the virtual studio, 3 people here today, mostly from Health City, talking about their Healthcare Explorers program, 2 of whom are no strangers to the studio, Mr. Shamari and Mr. Charles. But I am joined in the studio for the first time by Miss Shakina Bush, which means we have a Who Your Mama Is segment this afternoon, which, as you know, I'm always excited to have Who Your Mama Is segment. So looking forward to that this afternoon. And we will have that right after our daily bread. Of course, the number in studio is 943-3700. You can also reach me via WhatsApp on 324-1565, or you can email me at straighttalkci@gmail.com. But you guys know the deal. We'll get started first by our reading of the daily bread. So today's daily bread is entitled Goodbyes and Hellos. And today's scripture, as soon as I can get my screen unfreezed and get you your daily bread, comes from Revelation 21, verses 3 through 4, and reads, God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. The writer goes on to write, when my brother David suddenly died of cardiac failure, my perspectives on life changed dramatically. Dave was the 4th of 7 children, but he was the first of us to pass. And the unexpected nature of this passing gave me much to ponder. It became apparent that as age began to catch up with us, our family's future was going to be marked by more loss than by gain. It was going to be characterized by as much by goodbyes as hellos. None of this was a surprise intellectually. This is just how life works. But this realization was an emotional lightning bolt to the brain. It gave a fresh new significance to every moment life gives us and every opportunity time allows. And it placed a huge new value on the reality of future reunion, where no goodbyes will ever be needed. This ultimate reality is at the heart of what we find in Revelations 21, verse 3 and 4. God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more deaths or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. Though today we may find ourselves experiencing seasons of long goodbyes, our trust in Christ's deaths and resurrection promises an eternity of hellos. Thanks be to God for that word today. As always, here on Straight Talk, we remind you, we encourage you to spend time each and every day focused on his word, meditating on his grace and how awesome he is. With that, I go straight to Miss Shakina Bush, who is in studio with me for the very first time. So everybody is dying to know who your mama is.
All right. So my name is Shakina Bush. I am the child of Blossom Bush and Bernie Bush. Um, I am a teacher at Sir Johnny Cumber Primary School. I am currently teaching year 4, but I am also the science city instructional teacher at the school. I am here today, of course, with my wonderful family, I call them, from Health City. And yeah, that's a bit about me.
That is surely not enough. I'd ask you to share a little bit about how you've come to be a part of this conversation and the Healthcare Explorers program, and tell us a little bit more about you outside of the professional world. I always tell people some of the resume version, some of the non-resume version. If you like cats and skydiving, want to hear about that too. So give us a little more juice, man. Come on.
All right. Well, this program, just over a year ago, I took on the post of the science instructional leader at the school, and it was so cool because, there's a lot going on at science and new curriculum, and Shamari and I actually spoke about the possibilities in science and their wonderful program that they had, and then Charles and I came on board, and we've been working very closely. Like I say, I think Charles might be my brother at this point in the time because we have just about messaged the day has to offer us 2 o'clock messages in the morning sometimes. But yeah, that's kind of my role in this union. Outside of work, I am a huge sports fanatic. Most people know me through my sports or my non-profits, where I'm very community involved. I love my community. I love my country. I'm a proud Caymanian. I'm an ambassador for this country. I've played 2 national sports, track and field and football. I studied at Florida International University. I have a degree in education. My background
I won't hold it against you, by the way.
Oh yeah, you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I won't hold it
okay.
against you.
It's okay.
That's all right. Our neighbors down the road.
Yeah, I have a background in construction or engineering. A lot of people know me now. I'm also passionate about, animals, the environment. I'm a huge dog fanatic. I have Rottweilers and Yorkies. But yeah, that's a bit about me. I have a younger brother who's a pilot. My sister works in banking. Yeah, that's a bit about me.
I think we got enough now. I think I got enough to satisfy everybody. And so thank you for sharing. And I always tell people we take for granted how much or how little people may or may not know about us, especially those of you who are more known in our community. But straight on to Mr. Shamari, who is in studio, certainly again, no stranger. And I consider a continuation of a conversation. Last week we were talking about one of your educational programs, and here we are again continuing the conversation, speaking about the product offerings and getting a little bit more insight for some of our students who are a bit younger in the primary school and otherwise, which has, one of the things that Shamari's always made clear in his visits to Straight Talk about your educational programs is the aim is to get to the children early, at the very earliest opportunity to plant the seed and show them the possibility of the healthcare industry. And so we're kind of talking about that side of things. And so I want you to share with everyone, give a little bit of overview of this junior program before we get to hear a little video clip as well.
Definitely. And I just got to say, Rottweilers and Yorkies. Like, what a combination, right? What a combination of dogs to love and raise together. But that just shows you the type of person that Miss Bush is, that she can get people from, and even animals from all different walks of life and get them to come together and be the best them, right? So I'm sure the Yorkie and the Rottweiler sleep together. And
I have a few that do actually.
See?
Oh, jeez. I got to see this one to believe it.
But just to state, Ruth Anna, we were here last week, and I just want to reiterate that our goal has always been to make sure that our youth understand medical pathways and become inspired towards it. And even if we make sure at a young age or even young adults that they get to taste the medical field, but they prefer to go somewhere else. At least we've done our job whereby we've allowed students to be able to see what it would be like within the medical field. And if it isn't for them, then they won't have to waste time and they can go on and do something else.
Correct.
However, there are many hundreds that we will have touched from a young age that we know will go on towards medical pathways, or even if not medical pathways, they'll understand how important science is. And they can then, make sure that they do well at science so that they can go through another pathway and be successful. In 2014, we would have had 18 student interactions, 2014, 15, 236. Then it went up to 317 in 2015, 16. Charles, who everybody knows, who is one of the backbones of the program, would have moved on to help in another facility within Health City. So 2016-17, we only had 177 student interactions. However, 2017-18, when the program came under my remit and my unit's remit, that's when we sat with Charles. We looked at what we were trying to achieve, the objectives and the goals, and then really refined our products towards making sure that we were impacting as many students as possible. So in 2017-18, we had 730 student interactions, which was just 15 less than the first 4 years combined.
Yes.
And then once again,
these numbers are phenomenal, by the way.
2018-19, which was last year, we had 2,414 student interactions, which was more than the first 5 years combined. So we were looking at it in this past year and saying, how can we achieve and increase it by 20 or 30%? And once again, we can't keep doing this, but we're ecstatic to say in 2019-20, we had 4,315 interactions, which surpassed now the first 6 years combined. And coming into the pandemic, we were looking to say, all right, everybody will understand if we can't have persons physically within the hospital. So do we just state for certain products, sorry, we can't offer it? And because we had been so innovative previously, and Shakina will get to talk about the actual on-demand videos that we were doing prior, which was innovative, so we can reach more students than having them actually physically present to the hospital. We said we must be able to figure this out. So we sat. You would have heard the SURF, which was the university students, and Miss Zoe Basdale Connolly, and how she actually went through the program last week. But what I also want to talk about is that we have a day camp, usually for primary school age students that would come in on a Saturday in order to see the hospital. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen this go around. And what we did through a partnership with the Ministry of Education as well as GIS is that we had the day camp program virtually and remotely. And the Minister of Education, Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, was able to give her opening address, which was taped previously, which we had never had before, which was great. And she also gave the approval during that session for all the students. Once again, this is to show you how COVID worked, for them to order their food and have it delivered to them beforehand. And the Minister of Education also sponsored that. And through this program, working with GIS, it was broadcast on CIG TV. And we actually had a doctor also more or less give a lesson that the students could see. We had a Kahoot challenge, so all the students interactively could participate. And we also had prizes for that as well. And we had Giovanni Ebanks, Jevy, who was the host.
Jevy with the belly.
And Jevy with the belly. And we also had another alumni from our Health Explorers program previously also managed the Kahoot challenge in order to make it more interactive with somebody who was closer to their age. And the program went off phenomenally. And once again, we were able to not cancel that program and have students with their parents now, always with their parents, watch on TV, interact through their devices, as well as get food delivered to them or go and pick it up later. and have the challenge and also give out prizes at the back end, as well as interact with the doctor. And the virtual tour, which was filmed before as well, you're also able to get to see the facility in and of itself. So once again, that's just an example of the fact that we've always been innovative. We still wanted to reach the children. We still wanted to make sure we not only kept our numbers from a target perspective, but blew it out of the water once again this year. And we're very proud that we were able to actually have that day camp program.
And I think that from the conversation we had last week and here again to this week, it continues. Now, this has been one of the most unreal times of our life, right? I don't think any of us could have ever imagined come start of 2020, this is how the year would have unfolded. But there's these, what I consider to be silver linings, right? It's forced us. Thankfully, we've been able to adapt, and organizations like Health City has been able to adapt and say, you know what? This isn't going to stop the show. Children have to learn. We continue to plant these seeds. There are ways to deliver these programs, ways to engage them. I'm sure that, and Mr. Charles indicated, who I'll turn to in a little bit after playing the clip that I want to play, but it takes possibly more hands on deck to execute the programs virtually, but it has been done. It has been done. And I'm sure there's nothing that fully replaces in-facility experiences, but I can see that moving forward, there's a continued partnership between what technology can deliver and what that brings to the table, which I think is incredible.
Definitely. Right? And when we get to speak about the on-demand videos, one of our products, which is on-demand videos, which is our most successful product. It was listening to our customer, trying to understand what we were trying to do and how many people we were trying to reach. And when you look at the students, we need to get the teachers excited. We need to talk to the teachers. They need to be part of developing the program so it works for them and their curriculum. And therefore, it's a win-win.
Yes.
It fills a gap in regards to curriculum learnings that the professors and teachers would need to give to the children. And it also is a fun way for us to showcase how science is actually packaged and delivered in a real world sense in a healthcare institution, obviously. But you can start to make those connection points. And that's why we're so happy to have partners like Miss Bush, who I'll also mention is a Golden Apple Award winner, which means across the Cayman Islands in that year, she was highlighted and put forth as the most special educator. Obviously, it's ongoing, but to be recognized at that point in time. And we usually, and obviously I'm going to put it in there that my mama was the one who got it last year. Very proud of her.
I recall.
But she obviously was towards the end of her career and had done it over many, many decades. So it even holds a more special place in my heart. Obviously, that's my mama, right? But to have a Shekinah Bush who is so young, but doing such great things that teachers, her colleagues, parents, and of course the children are so impacted by what she is doing that she was able to get that award. Chamber of Commerce also, once again, have to put that out there, that the chamber understood how and understands how important education is and how important it is to hold up our teachers so that people can actually see them in the light they should be seen, to get more teachers and more Caymanians in that field, but as well so people can have a true appreciation, which I think COVID did for all of us parents who had to homeschool, and an even better appreciation of teachers, to the point where, you look at teachers and said, were you telling me the truth about my child? Because you said he does good in this, and this, and that he listens and participates, and he wasn't doing none of that when we were at home. But anyway,
I think that's definitely.
I think that that's a good segue into what Shekinah has done. The fact that she's come in partnership and helped with, of course, Mr. Charles, who is the bedrock of this program, to develop products pre-COVID that were delivered through innovative means so we could reach as many students as possible. I know we've only built on that concept moving forward.
Yes, and with that, I want to go ahead and cue up this audio clip before we get into some more conversation with Mr. Charles and with Shakina. I feel like Shakina is. Are we blushing?
It's hard to hear your voice.
Are we about to hear? You're giving him a cue. You're giving him a cue. You're about to hear from Miss Golden Apple herself. But let me, so that everybody can hear a bit about how they have introduced concepts from science into and how it relates to the medical world. I'm coming along here. Hold on. All right. If you give me 1 second and I will get that queued up for you.
While you're working on that, Ruth Anna, I'll just say that
if you give me 1 second, I'm gonna get that queued up for you. And this.
What?
As my son Levi would say, 1 second.
1 second. There we go. Yeah.
But it's actually a CT scan. The full form of CT scan machine is computed tomography, where we use X-rays. So basically, coming to radiology as per se, it's a perfect example for physics, where we use a lot of radiation, electromagnetic radiation, and all these things. So this is one medical field where we use physics to the most extent, and radiology is a perfect example to learn the radiation as such.
All right, so that gave us a little bit of a sneak preview into, and these videos, that one, are they available to the public on YouTube? Okay.
No, they're not available.
No. The videos are available by subscription with directly from the school, so they can be ordered from us. They can be ordered directly from us, but they're not made available to the public as such.
Okay, and if you could tell me a little bit, Mr. Charles, thank you for chiming in there. And see, Shakina, I will tell you that I empathize. I know how it feels when you hear your own voice played back. Even after all these years, I do not listen to any replays of Straight Talk. I could never tell you what one of these videos look like played back. So I completely understand, because I myself do not like to hear my own voice. So I completely understand. Okay. But Mr. Charles, if you could just share a little bit. So that particular audio clip, which is part of what you use in your program.
Right.
If you could explain just a little bit about how those videos are used with your students.
Sure. Well, one story that Shamari may not know is that we began the project with on-demand videos as a result of as a result of a conversation that I had with Mrs. Donna Rule from Clifton Hunter, when we were trying to figure out, she and I were trying to figure out how can we get more students to interact with the material, with the content that we offered at Hell City. And then in that conversation, we decided, let's have a webinar. And that was about 3 years ago. And that was where the idea of the videos came from. So the idea of the videos is that they are benchmarked against the national curriculum, whether it's the CXC, IGCSE curriculum, or in the case of the primary school, the Hamilton curriculum. And this year we began our planning sessions a bit earlier, but typically we will go through with the teachers and ask them about what topics when they're going to cover certain topics in the schools, and then we match up what we can then offer a video on. So to take, for example, the video clip that you played last year, Miss Bush, Shakina and I had a conversation at the meeting that she mentioned, and she mentioned that her students were about to study matter. So we put our heads together. We figured out, well, how can we, and I said, well, what is in that module? And she broke it down for me, and I said, fine. So our radiology department then can cover that. And that's where that video came from. And then she jumped in and said, hey, can I host? And I said, sure. So she came up and she hosted that video. The one that we gave, so we launched 2 videos this morning, 2 new videos this morning, which were electricity in the human heart and elements, mixtures, and compounds. Electricity in the human heart is again a conversation that Shakina and I had. Sometime, I think maybe July, we were going through the various topics and when she was going to be covering them in the classroom. And I saw that one on the Hamilton module, and I said, that looks really interesting. What do you think about these ideas? And we fleshed out a script, and we have a video. So that video now launched this morning, and our unique angle on that is pacemakers, electrical cardioversion, implantable devices in the heart, and so on, and the role of an electrophysiologist. So we have some big dictionary words for the primary school kids to learn, but that's what that video covers. So it's all a dialogical process. We do not take a top-down approach with any of our education products. We work directly with the schools, with the teachers, and ask, and have those conversations and shape out our education products. And as Shamari mentioned, the on-demand videos has been our most successful product to date. To the point where even as of this morning, with the new videos that have been launched and the existing video catalog that we already have a subscription of 69% of the amount of video views that we had last year. So that was confirmed to us through my conversations with the various science subject leaders this morning. We know that we have, as of right now, 69% of the views that we had last year are already scheduled, and that number will go up in the coming months.
It's so exciting for me to hear. Of course, we always, especially Shamari and I talk often when, he's here quite often enough or in the studio, because I'm quite the science girl. And, I know that the medical world is something that's always been interesting to me. And I think it is so crucial what Health It is doing with these programs, because as I've said time and time again, since we have been able to resume Medical Mondays post-COVID, is that if COVID hasn't shown us one thing, it is that there are a handful of careers that we need no matter what. And we have definitely seen that healthcare is one of them. And so planting these seeds and putting all of this work and this effort and these resources into these programs, I think is just absolutely critical. But it is about to turn the dial to 5:30. When I come back, the first person I want to turn to is you, Ms. Shakina, because I am quite curious to hear more about how, yes, you're on the front line of this program, helping to create content and the like, but you also are very much engaged with your students and see how this affects them on the back end of it? What are the conversations they are having? How does it inspire them? What information comes forth? And I wish I could be a fly on the wall, because we already know the interesting questions kids ask, right? Much less when they're presented with this kind of information. So that is going to be my first question when we come back from this break. It is now 5:30 on the Star 92.7 clock. So keep it locked. We'll be back in about 2 minutes and a little bit of change for some more Medical Monday, brought to you by our partners at Health City Cayman Islands.
Join the conversation. The phone lines are now open. 943-3700. You can also find us on Facebook or email us at straighttalkci@gmail.com.
Reintroducing an old favorite and the only local family dining experience in Cayman. Champion House 2 have joined forces with the local eatery and is now open with a diverse food and adult beverage offering. Join us during the week for our buffet breakfast or lunch, or de-stress weekends on Fridays from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. and Saturdays until 12 a.m. Music to keep you entertained, catering services to suit any budget. Let the local eatery at Champion House 2 cater to you by calling 916-5736 or 329-5550, or place your order via Island Grub or the Let's Eat app today.
It's hump day. Roll back.
Roll back. Every Wednesday, all Rubis stations are rolling back the price on all fuel purchases by 20 cents. Every customer will save 20 cents on every gallon of fuel purchased on Wednesday. Every customer, only at Rubis.
Roll back. Roll back.
Only at participating Rubis service stations.
Are you signed up to a MyCUC account? It's only the best way for you to manage energy usage and save on your CUC bill with Customer Connect, CUC's energy management tool. And you can also make quick and easy bill payments through PowerPay. And guess what? It just got better. Now you can see the dollar value of your energy usage and daily cost breakdown when you use Customer Connect. You can see comparisons of your costs month to month, set usage alerts, and avoid being surprised with a high electricity bill at the end of the month. Simply sign up at www.cuc-cayman.com and click on My CUC. Once logged in, track and monitor all of your energy usage information through Customer Connect and make payments at your convenience with PowerPay. And CUC is giving you the power to save.
Yeah, I heard he got that hot new thing. It's called Switch to Flow Now and Keep Your Number. Oh, you just gonna stand there, huh? Switch your prepaid number and get 5 gigs of data valid for 30 days. Or switch to postpaid and get your first month free on us. Flow is giving you so much more. What are you waiting for? Make the switch now. Visit any one of our retail stores to sign up now. Call 747-5050 or visit discoverflow.ky/switch. Flow, you deserve to be on the biggest and fastest network.
Welcome back to Straight Talk with Ruth Anna on Star 927.
We are back, folks, and you are tuned into Straight Talk, brought to you exclusively by Star 92.7 Premium Radio. I am your host, Ruth Anna Young, and I am joined in studio from some of my partners at Health City Cayman Islands. And today we're extending that also into, as much as she's a part of the Health City family, as she says, also part of our public education system is Shakina Bush, Mr. Shamaria, and Mr. Charles Bush from Health City Cayman Islands are also in studio with me this afternoon talking about their Healthcare Explorers education program and the multitude of offerings they have in terms of their on-demand online courses, as well as, you know, the different parts of the program that cater to, I guess, our junior students. Right? We talked a bit about high school, university level in the SURF program last week. And here we are speaking about the things they offer to help inspire minds from a very, very young age. And what I'm learning today, of which Ms. Shakina Bush is a critical component, serving multiple facets in all of this. And so I want to go straight, as I mentioned before we went out to the break, Ms. Shakina. No, as your students know you as Miss Bush. But you being on both sides kind of this equation, helping to create content, but also still very much in the classroom with the students. When your students are engaging with the content, and I know you're probably known the island over, not just down at John A. Cumber Primary School, otherwise affectionately known as Westby Primary, but known by so many students. When students are engaging with this content and being exposed to this material, how is it benefiting them? What are some of the reactions from them? What are they saying when they're able to see these videos and engage with these programs?
Well, the first thing they pointed out was that I was all dressed up and my hair was combed.
Comb your hair. What are they talking about?
But no, as an educator, I live for that aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
And our children need experiences. There's always that inquiry question, and we want our children to be able to ask rich questions. We want them to be curious. We want them to explore this world in a safe way.
Mm-hmm.
And playing these videos, all of a sudden, it's not just that machine that they caught a glimpse of when the hospital door opened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the hospital is a place in our community that every child is familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
It's a critical component of each community, no matter where you go in this world. And they're familiar with the idea of a hospital. So to finally have a doctor speaking directly to you about what you're learning in science, using some of the same tools on a larger spectrum, it's that aha moment. So you see their eyes, their pupils dilate, you see the jaw drop, and all of a sudden the light bulbs are going off, the gears are turning. And my experience, within 2 or 3 minutes of these videos, I'll have 3/4 of my class hands up. Some are getting out of their seats or on the carpet, stretching up to try and make sure they see over the hands, because they don't want to miss a single second of it.
Wow.
Because the language is friendly. The doctors are talking directly to them. They're using terms that they're using in science. And now the curriculum isn't just a curriculum.
Yes.
It's a real world connection for them. And oh my God, that is that thing that I saw, and now I can explain it. It's an MRI machine, or we're looking at light, and we're looking at how light travels, and suddenly we're talking about 8-year-olds using scientific language at a high school level.
Right.
And that builds a natural sense of curiosity that we've hit the nail on the head. You can't talk about something or write about something if you've never had some type of experience, and that's exactly what this program has brought to the table for our children.
Yes.
They are now seeing the medical field and going, oh my gosh, these are people just like I am. These are they see young children, they see older children, they see adults, they see males, they see females. And one of the things that I always try to encourage people to do is ask your child, or ask a child, and any child under the age of 12 to draw a scientist. Don't give them any background. I'll just say draw a scientist. 90% of children are going to draw a male. They're going to draw a test tube or a beaker with something exploding and fizzing. And for the first time, some of our children are seeing females in this field that in their heads,
that gives a special tingle to my heart. Yes,
or it almost seems male dominated in their minds, and they're young. They're moldable. So to experience that in your classroom, to know that what you're studying now has an application, is something we can't put a price tag on.
Absolutely. And I know there must be many, but what are some of the questions that come forth from the students when they're watching these videos?
Tons of vocabulary. Like you wouldn't believe it. Well, what's a gamma ray, or what's ionizing versus non-ionizing, and that gives you another rich opportunity. One of the issues that we have in school is that we isolate subjects. English is taught in English, writing is taught in writing.
Right. And real life doesn't actually work like that.
And it's transdisciplinary.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now, from a science lesson for something that's blown their minds in a short clip, all of a sudden we have a writing lesson.
Yeah.
We have a procedural lesson. What are the steps the doctors took? We have a math lesson. How many test tubes can you create a pictograph from it? We are exploring vocabulary, the use of dictionaries in the classroom. We're exploring that skill to be able to do research and collect a link and put it, in your paper, in your research paper. So it's starting to make sense, and it's linking all of the pieces together. Learning is this huge puzzle. And most of the time, children have tons of the pieces. But we compete with PlayStations, Xboxes, TVs, and what's the huge? There's a huge thing, right? There's nothing a teacher right now can tell a child.
Minecraft?
Yes.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
There's nothing a teacher can teach a child right now that YouTube can't.
Very true.
But when a video is made just for you, when it is just as entertaining, when you have a Kahoot challenge that you get to challenge your friends and kids across the island, all of a sudden
Yeah.
It's a competitive environment. It's a rich learning environment, and we're creating all of these opportunities for our children to see what could be for them.
Do you, in your classrooms and in discussions with other teachers and such, do you get 8-year-olds, 7-year-olds now turning around and saying, well, I want to do that?
Yes, we do. I don't think that we have enough opportunities in the school to make careers or bring awareness about certain careers. An engineer doesn't only exist on a construction site.
That's right.
We have sound engineers right here in the studio. We have, electrical engineers. The process of plumbing. I mean, I have a construction background. It's a chemical reaction. We're starting to link the things that they do and the things that they love. And we're realizing that, there are tons of fields within that hospital. And that's what this program does. It doesn't only highlight the doctor. It doesn't only highlight the nurse, the lab tech. They're highlighting the people that make this possible as well. So you're saying, okay, well, this technician has to come in to fix this machine because this has a lifespan of, and those conversations happen, and suddenly our kids are constantly asking these questions. Well, can you play that back again? Because I want to write about it now.
Right. And it's so funny that you would even make the comment about even just, bringing engineers into this conversation, because when I think about my time in school and going away to university, it was not until I got to university that engineering was any ready part of my vocabulary. And that was only due to the fact, that was something that never crossed my mind, and even no time. And it's just by virtue of the fact that University of Miami has a very robust engineering program and a lot of engineering students. So you have no choice to not know about it, because enough of them be crying in the hallway, right? And you want to know, what are they crying about, right? This project that they got to stay over Thanksgiving break with some rubber bands and wheels and whatever else they were doing over there in the school and engineering. Right? But I'm so happy you said that, because I feel like I almost feel like, okay, well, I want to know what's in the videos too. I'm gonna have to sit in somebody's primary school classroom.
That's the exciting part. You get a lot of feedback from parents saying, hey, they came home talking about this and I have no clue. Can you please give me some? And now parents are getting involved. Well, wow, I didn't know. And it kind of makes us all more human.
Yes.
Oftentimes we put teachers on this pedestal and they almost seem flawless. But I think,
and they have no first name as well.
One of the things that connects me to my children is that they'll pose a question. I say, you know what? I actually don't know that answer, but we can find it together. We can find the answer together. Let's do some research. And not only are you teaching a type of compassion and understanding between each other, you're teaching children how to be patient. You're teaching children how to work together. So much comes from it. There's so many teachable moments from it. There's so much transdisciplinary interlocked because of these things. It's critical.
Absolutely. And I want to ask, and I guess maybe both of you, Shakina, Mr. Charles, you may be able to give some feedback. I can't even say, Mr. Bush, because you might know who I'm talking about. But you bring an important facet to this, is the parents, right? And then the parents saying, hey, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to parents who, their children have been inspired by this information and come home with questions and ideas and all sorts of things they want to talk about? How can parents support a program such as this, as the Healthcare Explorers program, when their kids come home with all of these questions that may be foreign to even the parents themselves? And I would dare say even foreign to some teachers, but how can parents support this learning? I'd like, if Mr. Charles, if you could offer, a bit of advice possibly towards that, as well as you, Shakina, because I think you're both on two different sides of this.
Well, as much as we welcome the conversations and are enriched by the conversations with the teachers, we welcome and are enriched by the conversations with parents. So parents are always welcome to contact us at healthcare.explorers@healthcity.ky or to call the office line 640-4195 and talk about ways that, ask those questions. How else can my child get involved? last year, for example, the mother of an 8-year-old boy reached out to us. And when we talk about constant innovation, we really mean it, because the mother of an 8-year-old boy reached out to us and said, my son is 8 and he knows he wants to be a neurosurgeon. What can you do for him? What can you offer to him? And within a half an hour of conversation, we had a visit arranged just for him to come and meet the neurosurgeon. And so we launched a brand new product last year, parent-child field trips. We didn't have very many of them, but those were special moments. I mean, I will always get goosebumps about that visit when he came in and the neurosurgeon, Dr. Sabat, sat and explained to him, for example, how he and showed him video, how he extracted a tumor through the nose. Wow. And when I tell you, this little boy's eyes were as big as, saucers, and he was just enraptured. And at the end of that, I mean, he had, of course, he was 8 and he was being shy and so on, but he was totally soaking it up. And at the end of it, he got his own healthcare store's lab coat, which he insisted wearing around the hospital for the rest of the visit. And a lot of times we think that we are the ones giving the blessings to these children. What really, really blessed me, at the end of the visit, this young boy said, yes, I can do it. And that was it for me. I mean, my day was done. I had, I had gotten everything I needed out of that, out of that day. But to hear an 8-year-old child say that someone respected him enough respected him and his idea enough to sit down with him and walk him through what a neurosurgeon does, and to speak to him like an adult.
Yes.
And to give him a one-on-one tailored encounter, meant the world to him. And to hear him say at the end of it, yes, I can do it. So to sum up all of that, from my perspective, we welcome and invite those conversations with parents, and we're very easy to reach. You can message us through our Facebook page or Instagram page. And before the show ends, I will give out the contact information again. To reach out to us and have those conversations. Ask us how we can help, and we will, to the best of our ability, make it happen. I haven't had a request come through yet that we've said, absolutely not. We can't make that happen, because that is why we are here, to help children make the connections between science and the medical field, and between science period and the application of science. So
right. And I think that what they're called parent-child field trips.
Parent-child field trips. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how I'm happy to have the conversations about those again this year. They may be virtual. Correct. Or they will be virtual for the time being. But, I'm happy to have the conversations with parents about those this year and see how we can make those happen as well.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that, Mr. Charles. And Shakina, from your perspective, inside the classroom, the questions that you see, how can parents support their children through learning such as this, and all of the questions and comments and everything that comes forth from something like this? If parents are like you say, if they're wondering, like, how do I help? What do I do? Right? What would your suggestion be?
Take that fear down. Even teachers have that query about science. They're nervous about science, and teachers, some of them will come straight up. Miss Bush, I am, rocked. My nerves are done. This subject scares the life out of me. And my biggest thing to them is science is a process. You ask a bunch of questions, you think about how you're going to conduct that experiment, you go out and try a few things, and then you organize your data, and then you go back at it. You know, where were my misconceptions? You know, what are some of the things that changed the dynamic?
Yes.
And I'll give that same advice to parents. Bring that nervousness down about it. Go out and do it together. It's an opportunity to bond. It's an opportunity to hear what's on your child's mind and allow your child to hear what's on yours.
Yeah.
You know, it brings that human aspect back to us. And then use it to motivate your child.
Yes.
You know, hey, I noticed that you were struggling in math. It's been a struggle for the past year or two. But, you know, you said to me you wanted to be a doctor now. You know, doctors really need to work on that science and that math and that, you know, skill. So let's work towards our goals together. Set a goal and let them go for it.
How long have you been a teacher now?
This is my 7th year.
Wow. Listen, you speak as if you have been doing this a whole lifetime already, but some people are just born to these things, really. And Shamari, I want to ask you, and I don't know whether you or Mr. Charles would be better for this question, but at this stage, is this content and these programs in essentially all of our primary school classrooms, or is it by request of various teachers and principals and such?
So it's through working with the different schools and making sure that we can actually get into the classrooms. But that's a great segue to Miss Bush as well, talking about how she's an advocate for what we're doing, and for the schools that it's not currently being used, what she is actually going to do in order to help us to get it across the primary schools in the Cayman Islands.
Okay, so we're gonna turn that back over to Ms. Shakina. So I guess to ask a logical question, how are you working towards trying to get all of our schools to engage all of our students with this material?
Well, we're fortunate enough to have science leaders across every primary school now. And we do meet frequently. We do have solid discussions, and we're starting a platform now where we're sharing good practice in the classroom. This is definitely something Charles, myself, are going to start to work on. I've already started to talk with people like Ty in the department to start to look at how we can flesh this out. So me sharing an opportunity, and I think that's one of the big scary moments for a teacher, you know, to put a camera in your classroom and say, hey, you know, this is what went well, this is what didn't. But it is good for your personal growth.
Yes.
And each day, just as much as I want my children to learn, I feel it's important that I learn and grow each day as well with them. And that's the next step, starting to get primary schools bought into this, because like I said earlier, I can't put a price tag on this program. The looks on the faces of my children when I walk into a classroom to just check in, and you see teachers, you know, using the material in effective ways. You know, how can we create a magnetic field similar to that of a machine in the hospital? All of a sudden, you know, children are working together. They're, you know, multitasking, and you say, wow, these are 10-year-olds, and they're working in small groups, and they're splitting up and going into other small groups, and I didn't say anything. And you know, it just, I get goosebumps talking about it. But when you see children in action and getting these things, getting excited about these type of things, it tells you that we can do something. We can definitely show children these things and get them excited about it. These concepts are concepts that are made child friendly, but in the long run, the content, the material, the skills that they're getting to practice, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. And it's always so exciting for me to hear this, of course. But we are winding down to our last few minutes of the show, believe it or not. And since I have three of you, I want to give each of you opportunities for final wrap-up thoughts. And so, Mr. Charles, I'd like to start with you, and then Shakina, if you could give your final thoughts, and then Shamar, if you could close out for me with your final thoughts as well. So, Mr. Charles, any final reminders? I know you said you wanted to share contact information with the listening public, but final thoughts from you, sir.
Sure. Well, on that segue regarding extending the content into other primary schools, invitations also went out to all the schools this morning from Healthcare Explorers to set up a Zoom meeting with me. So if teachers are listening, I do encourage you, invite you to send those meeting requests in. Let's have a meeting and talk about how we can fit the programming into your school, or how we can adapt programming for your school. And as far as the contact information, our email address is healthcare.explorers@healthcity.ky, and the office line for Healthcare Explorers is 640-4195. And we're on Facebook and we're on Instagram, and you can message us through those pages as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Charles. Final thoughts from you, Ms. Shakina?
Science is a phenomenal subject. You know, I have a definite passion for it. Not every child may be great in math. Not every child may be great in English, but science levels a platform where I can grow in my math and English through my discussions in science, through my work in science, and I can build on my weaknesses while I fall in love with something even more. Give our children a shot, give them opportunity to grow and be forgiving. You know, we all make mistakes, we all grow, but we got to stay positive with children no matter what. You know, they understand, they appreciate that, but our children deserve the best. And I think this is the best program right now for our children. So let's give them a shot at this. I'm absolutely in love with this program. I'm wholeheartedly in it. Reach out to them, get involved. You know, it is phenomenal. And like I said, our children deserve nothing but the best.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And then final thoughts from you, Mr. Shamari.
No, just that I'm proud to be a part of an organization that has also stated that this is a mandate, right? That you, Shamari, you, Charles, go out there and make sure that we have as many children across and young adults across the Cayman Islands as possible to be able to taste what healthcare looks like and how it feels, and to try and get as many persons in the next 5, 10, 15 years to come back or through training, be a part of the healthcare fabric, whether at Health City or outside. That isn't important. What is important is that we start to sizably increase those percentages of Caymanians that are taking the opportunity to be a part of healthcare. And, just thank Health City for allowing us to do this. And, obviously having partners like Miss Bush, who also obviously has that passion while she's in teaching, and together through partnership, we can get more of our students and our children to achieve. Once we see 5 years from now, even if it's 3 students who are on a medical track, which we already know it's much more than that based on Healthcare Explorers. But if we can have hundreds or thousands of Caymanians that are either going through a science track or a healthcare track because of the little that we did from Healthcare Explorers, then we've really accomplished something great. And I just want to thank all of the doctors, nurses, obviously Charles, as well as marketing team back at Health City, everybody who has come together to put together this program, and of course partners like Shakina, who have given up their time in order to help Charles and to help Health City put together the best product possible to reach our children. Just a huge thank you to everybody involved, and we look forward to doing much, much more in the future. And Health City is here to stay, and we're doing what we said we would have done. And we're overtly gracious to persons like Shakina that are helping us to achieve our mandates, which are aligned with our own personal goals in helping Cayman to be the best Cayman it can be.
Awesome. Thank you all, as always, for joining me on the show. Next week, we'll be back for another Medical Monday brought to you by our partners at Health City Cayman Islands. As I announced last week, for those who may have missed my announcement last week, as I am transitioning out of my host position on Straight Talk for the rest of the month, I will only be hosting Medical Mondays on Mondays. So we won't be on air Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but I will be here each and every Monday through the rest of September. You will get introduced to your new host before the end of the month, and they will take up the reins on October 5th, I do believe. Well, you'll get the opportunity to meet them, bring that, talk to them while they're in studio before I exit entirely as your host. But I will be here each and every Monday for Medical Monday, brought to you by our partners at Health City Cayman Islands. I love you guys. Please drive safely on the roadways, and I'll be back again next Monday right here on Star 92.7 at 5 p.m. sharp.
Let's get to the point. More straight talk to come on Star 927.
Go. Press. Money don't need more press. Yeah.
Connect to the culture.
When I die, put my money in the grave. When I die, put my money in the grave.